video, so stick around if there's anybody out there that's just down in the dumps, feeling depressed, needs a little motivation. Just stick. If you come on, keep watching, stick around. I have a good story to tell. All right. This here is a book that I've been writing, hopefully to publish other struggling teenagers out there or younger kids who are going through the legal system or not. I'm going to read you this story. There are a few parts that I'll skip over if there is anybody sensitive to this. Here goes. A past that still breathes. Acknowledgements. I would like to take time to realize how far I have come to be at the point I am right now. This past year has really been a struggle for me. Past 2 years, actually. 2 years and 4 months, to be exact. But good times are ahead. Thanks to all the people who have given me a chance at being the better person that everyone that knows me that I can be. Throughout the story, I will not mention names for privacy purposes. Thanks to all the people that could make this book possible. So pretty much whoever views this is getting a sneak peek on my book that I'll actually publish, so stick around. Prologue. The story starts at a so-called friend's house, and we were having a good time, not so good time, if that makes sense. When we were done in the basement, we went to the person's bedroom. There were 5 of us guys total, and they all told me to go clean everything up. Mind you, that's not what a real friend would do to someone else. I already saw that I had 2 viewers. This is a really encouraging story. I would like if people could watch, because if there's anybody depressed out there or down in the dumps, you really need to stick around for this. This is a story about my past experiences and what I've been through, so I'm going to keep reading. That's not what a real friend would do to someone else. After repeated times of asking for help, I eventually wandered to somewhere where I wasn't supposed to go. I was snooping around and came across a case that could fit a firearm pistol inside it. Little to my knowledge, that would be my downfall. When I opened the case up, I found a .22 long rifle pistol and a box of 50 .22 caliber rounds. Don't even ask me what I was thinking. I was stupid enough to take that damn gun. There was even a moment of hesitation about taking it, but I took it anyway. That hesitation was something trying to tell me of all the trouble I would get my ass into. There are cuss words in this, so be warned. Now, I don't know if it was a passed on family member. I will never know. After I left said person's house, I still had the gun with me. When I got back to my house, I went straight to my room with the gun. After a solid hour or so, we're trying to figure out how to put the bullets into the damn gun. I'm not exaggerating. That's true. That's okay. I eventually did so. When that was done, I went down to the basement where I did the unimaginable. I unloaded the 10 rounds and put one back in. I then went outside and shot it off while covering up the sound while doing so. After that, I went back to my bedroom and loaded another round into it. I then felt so horrible in doing the action prior, I put the gun up to my head with the safety off, contemplating whether or not to take my life. I did not take my life, or I would not be here writing this story and telling it. Part 1, before detention. It's my first time going to detention, mind you. This takes place on a school day where I was dumb enough to bring a bullet with me to school. Yes, I did stupid actions. In our teenage years, we all do stupid actions. We own up to them. I was going from class to class, and around the time in the middle of study hall, we went down to the lunchroom for lunch. That's when I went to the bathroom instead. There was another student in the bathroom, and what I did next was just plain stupidity. I asked the student, "Hey, do you want to see something?" Student said, "Yeah, sure." Then I threw the bullet at him. Come to find out, that was my downfall. He picked up the bullet, and we both walked out of the stalls, and I asked for the bullet back, and he gave it back. That's when another student walked in, and he saw it too. So I talked to both of them to try and calm them down. One suspected me having a gun on me, which I didn't. It was only a bullet, which I'm grateful for that. I'm Grateful that I only took the bullet to school and not the gun, because I would have went straight to jail if I had a gun on me at school. So I'm grateful that I only had that teensy-weensy little bullet instead of... Okay. Got my lunch and sat down to eat. That's when I saw them walking towards me. An officer and the dean of students were walking towards me. They asked if they could talk to me real quick, and I said sure. Please wait for any and all comments at the end of this story. It's an 11-page story. I would like to hear what comments you may have and what advice you may have. They asked if they could talk to me real quick, and I said sure. We went to a separate room where they told me they got a total of 7 reports of me having a supposed gun on me. 7 freaking reports. Which, in this case, I had no gun. I told them I just had a bullet on me, and they searched me. When they found the bullet, I was then brought to the main office. When I got to the office, my parents arrived soon after. Then the cops had to come to my house and search the house, where I told them where the gun was. Mind you, they didn't have to find that gun. I told them where it was. That made things a lot better for me in my case. If they had found it, that would have made things a whole lot worse. So I just told them where it was. Came clean. After a while of gathering evidence, they said I had to go away. Part 1, the ride there. It was a cold February night, somewhere around 8 p.m. I was at the Indianola police. Crap. I really should have put the names of towns too. Yeah. Okay. I was at the IPD police station and getting fingerprinted and booked on the charges. That process was long and boring, as with his every booking case. At like around 9 p.m., the CIJDC, for those of you who do not know what CIJDC stands for, is Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center. The transport was at the PD. I was crying a lot on the way to detention, like seriously bawling my freaking eyes out. It was probably the worst night of my life. It wasn't probably, it was the worst night of my life imaginable. I recall every second of that first time going to detention. Every second of every day. Once I got to detention, the intake process was very long. After the intake process, I was sent to a room with 4 white walls and a cement slab. Little did I know that would be night 1. Day 1. I barely got any sleep on my first night there, but day 1 was a lot worse than night 1. When I woke the next day, I wished I hadn't, because every day my first time being there was miserable as hell. Alright, enough of the delay, let's get to it, shall we? Day 1 was the worst day out of all my times of being there. Other juveniles were just mean to me every chance they got, calling me names, making fun of me. Pretty much any possible thing someone could come up with just to be mean to you. Also, I'm gonna skip over that. Alright, today was when I experienced the first detention fight. It was between 2 girls, and they were really going at it. I mean, like hair pulling, clawing, and name calling. It was complete madness. Around dinner time was when reality really started to settle in. Dinner wasn't really that bad. It was to some degree good. Once dinner was over, we had to go back to our cells. I fortunately had some books to pass the time, and the books were kind of good. Dean Koontz, he's a good author. Once the lights came out in the hallway, that was a full first day of being at detention for a whole solid week. Day 2. Alright, day 2 was still really crappy, but I had to see it through. The days were very long, and it felt as if time stood still. You know, sometimes I wish for everything to be alright, even when I was in the darkest of times. On the second day, I was really isolating myself from humanity, or the other juveniles. I didn't come out of my cell for pretty much of the entire day. They gave me what was called room trays. Room trays are where if you refuse to come out of your room, they would deem you sick or just plain refusal to come out of your room. Simple as that. It was halfway through the day, so I still had a long time to go. I encourage my viewers to stick around because this is recalling my experiences, and you never want to go to places like this that I've been to. So let's keep going. It was nearing lunchtime, so I had yet to get another room tray. When that finally came, I barely even ate anything. So to explain it easily, I pretty much just ate whatever I could. After lunch was over, I just read for however long I could. Like I said previously, the day seemed as if time were frozen. I might mention this all throughout the story, but for all you struggling teens out there, mind you, for all you struggling teens out there, don't do anything stupid enough to get sent to detention. Because believe me when I say this, detention is a pain in the fucking ass. Sorry for my language, but it's the truth. Never go there. Day 3. Okay, so as I was slowly going through the painful days of being there, it was on this day I got up the nerve to call my JCO, juvenile court officer. When he answered, he sounded as if he were trying to talk some sense into me. Obviously didn't work because I landed my ass in juvenile detention 3 more times after this time. I'll explain later on in this story. When he answered, trust me, it didn't work, as it will unfold later in this book. Anyway, back to the here and now when I was on the phone with my JCO. I was trying to get answers that even he didn't have yet. All I really wanted was to be back with my family. Anything I could have done to be back with my family. Now I know I can't go back and change the past of what I did, but I can learn from it. Everybody can learn from their past. A mistake is just a mistake, whether it be big or small. When I got off the phone with my JCO, I had to go back to my cell and wait for time to go by slowly and painfully. Once dinner was nearing again, I tried to choke down that god-awful detention food. Not to sound picky or anything, but detention/prison food is not meant to be good. I know from experience firsthand, it was just terrible. Just putting it in that. Once dinner was over, I had yet another painful day ahead of me. Day 4. This day was potentially hopeful, but it wasn't, and let me explain. This was the day I had my first detention hearing. I was so effing hopeful to get out of that shitty ass place, but my hopes got too high and I wasn't able to get out. You know how they say, you manifest for things, whether it be positive or negative? And this time, I was being all negative. Had no hope. But now that I don't have to worry about being sent anywhere, I am manifesting positive things. And that's today. And anyway. But I was so happy to see my family when I got to the courthouse. But when I had to go back, I was bawling my eyes out once again. Once I got back to the detention center, I broke down once more. When I changed back into my detention attire, I took a glance at the time and thought, oh shit, it's gonna be another long day. Well, that my readers stood true. You think that going to detention would make me rethink my life decisions, right? Well, wrong. It made me become a straight up no good, waste of space, sack of monkey shit, dickless, hopeless, helpless, no-brainer, stiff-legged, bug-eyed, low-life, piece of shit, no good, pain in the ass to everyone around me. Day 5. Okay, this day was when I finally took it upon myself to finally be around what they call other stupid fucking dumb pieces of shit juveniles that landed their little asses in the same place that I got myself into. This day was terrible too, as I will tell you. The other juveniles were straight up jerks to me. God forbid if I threatened to whoop one of their little bully butts, they would drop me dead. But I wasn't as built as I am now, muscle-wise, but still I would get my butt whooped if I had done that. Don't pick any fights with people in detention or prison. You'll just get your butt beat, if not killed, by shanks or whatever. There were very few people that I actually talked to. There was this one juvenile that I struck up a conversation with, and it went pretty well. So that was a positive part of that day. I'd say another thing was that I got along with staff pretty well too. So here is something to think about too. All you readers who are reading this or listening to this, you probably think that every kid who gets sent to detention is a bad kid, right? Comment below if that's true. Or don't comment. I just would like to know your thoughts on it. Alright. But for me, this is probably the oh, wait. We're wrong, because some kids actually turn their lives around, so I've heard. But for me, this is probably the turning point. Day 6. Okay, on this day is when I saw the first spirit. This spirit was a passed on loved one named Somer Peterson. He had actually killed himself by hanging. I think it was a terrible sight to see for everyone at that time. When I saw him, it was as if he was trying to get a message across to me. He was just sitting there still as a turtle on a log. I so much as happened to not listen to his message. This day was kind of interesting. It was late morning, but it was still interesting. Around lunchtime was when I still saw Somer lingering around me. For people who tuned into this live stream, I am reading a For people who are tuning into this live stream, I am reading a book about my past experiences that I'm hoping to publish. I am at day 6 of my first detention stay. I saw a spirit of a passed on loved one. So I'm gonna continue. It was kind of helpful seeing him, knowing that a passed on loved one is trying to help me through tough times. It helped to some degree, but on the other hand, it didn't. After lunchtime, when we went back to our cells and a couple of hours later, we came out for program. He was still sticking around. When me and the group went to the rec room, I was playing football. When I was running the ball to the other wall, I ran right through my great-grandfather. Okay, that didn't actually happen, but you know, I still saw him, okay? Day 7. This day was glorious for me because this was the day I got out of detention. I can't explain how happy I was to get the hell out of there. It was like that feeling when one individual says that they had a huge weight lifted off their shoulders. I felt that way. Also in a sense where from then on everything was going to be alright. When I went home that day, I was so freaking happy. I don't have the word freaking in it, but you know. Little did I know this was just the beginning. When I was free from the grasp of lockup, I did what I always like to do. Reading, music, Legos, TV, and stuff like that. After the lockup, I went on the ankle monitor. And what that is, it's a tracker where law enforcement can track your every single move. Little did my stupid ass know I would keep screwing up for the next year. Part 2, trapped with myself. When I was out, I rejoiced upon being out. It wasn't until somewhere around springtime that's when my dumbass screwed up again. It was around 10 or 11 p.m. and I decided I can't take any more of this bullcrap. Not trying to encourage the kids to do this, but I made the tracking signal a bit choppy and cut off the ankle monitor. Not gonna go into specifics on how I did it, but all in all, it was still wrong. transmission. I'll be right back. Okay, you didn't have to say that, but this is a story of my past experiences and what I can learn from it. Also, a little bit of motivational story. So, I'm going to... Alright, I'm back. Part 2, trapped with myself. When I was out, I rejoiced upon being out. It wasn't until... okay, hang on. End of first paragraph. Alright, when I slid down a rope from a 3-story window, upon landing on the ground, I had multiple severe blisters all over my hands. Like, seriously, like my hands were just covered in blisters. I counted at least over 20 blisters on my hands from that sliding down that rope. 20 blisters. Imagine how painful that would be. Anyway, back to the story. When I got to ground level, I started walking all around the town of Indy. Let's just put it at Indy. There were even some thoughts of doing bad things, but I just waved them aside. I'd say I walked to the other side of town. When doing so, I came across an upperclassman and struck up a conversation with him. After the small talk was done, I went back to the main road going through Indiana. God damn. I really should put in, like, I'm not gonna disclose the names of the towns. Should have put that in the acknowledgements. Alright. This is where I almost came upon a cop patrolling around the town. That's where I kept in mind there were only 2 cops patrolling at night, so I could have done anything I wanted to and got away with it. But I didn't want to get into more trouble than I would get into. So I decided to go back home. Upon arriving at my house, I came to find out the basement door was locked. Which is strange because I always left that basement door unlocked. So I thought, well shit, how am I supposed to get back in? So I had to do what I had to do. Go to the basement bedroom window and break it. It was the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever had to do. I felt really shitty doing that. And to be quite frank, really stupid in doing so. When I got When I got back in the house, I quickly went back up to my room and acted like nothing ever happened. Well, for the record, adults ain't stupid. My mom immediately found out what I was up to. Let me just say for starters, she was PO'd to no end about what had happened. Of course, a nosy next door neighbor had to call the police about the noise of me breaking the window. When the officer came, me and the officer went down to the supposed crime scene. He took some pictures as well as talking to us afterwards, and he went about the night after the visit. My dad eventually came to the house of said town to cover up the windows so no intruders or animals got in. My dad was extremely pissed about the whole ordeal as well as my mom. That was a terrible night and I barely got any sleep. The next day, I went to school in said town. Of course, the SRO, School Resources Officer, approached me and asked me why my ankle monitor wasn't on me. I told him that I had a troubling night and something happened. When I was done with school for the day, I got into my mom's Jeep and she had to give me bad news. I had to go to detention for the second time. It was the worst thing I had to hear. Out of all the dog-loving things, she had to tell me that. Well, I guess duty called right then and there. When I arrived at the Justice Center in Indianola, for the record, I do not live in Indianola anymore. My JCO had the order set for me to go to CIJDC. In case you readers don't know what that stands for, it means Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center. And a transport was on the way. When the transport got to the Justice Center, I knew right away I was going through hell all over again.